Well, sometimes this happens. I was moving some of the plants that I had stored underneath the shade cloth canopy, and I knocked another pot off of its stand. This is a avocado, and so it's time for emergency repot. This is the first time I've actually got a chance to take a look at the roots of the avocado, and I might even get give that a quick little prune. It's got a very straight trunk, but no ramifications so far. So we don't know how the avocados are going to respond to this. So this will be our first attempt. And yes, I'm going to be careful picking up the broken pieces of pottery. I don't want to cut my finger again. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with this probably is give it a trim back. Now, we could be conservative, trim back to here where we know we have some leaves. However, we also do have leaf buds all around here where there may still be some dormant buds. So since the avocado itself is an experiment that I'm having and not really too invested in this quite yet, I might be a little more aggressive since I had a repot, and this maybe cut back a little further and see if I can get some of these branches, some of these leaf scars, which usually will have a dormant bud at the bottom of each branch. And you can kind of see, if you look really, really closely in there, that there are little buds in the base of each one of those leaves. Now these buds may be dormant, and in which case I can cut this off and see if I can get branching down here. Again, conservative thing, take it off right here. Still a decent thing, but it can stick straight. Now, how well are these wired? Well, I don't know. Again, that's another option. Now, as long as we're playing with this thing, throw a little wire in there, see if we can get a little bit of a little motion in there. Don't want to get too aggressive. Don't know how brittle these are. So, you take this thing and we're like, okay, how far back can I bend this? It's like, okay, well, I can actually put a pretty good bend in that, and it doesn't feel like it's going to snap, but will this do the same thing? Well, again, experimentation time. Let me grab a little wire. And because this is an experiment, I'm not going to waste new wire on it. Whenever I take wire off, if I can salvage it, I do. And I just kind of store them in these kind of loops. So I look for a few pieces of wire. And I think we'll go with this one. It's about the right length, about the right thickness. And again, I'm just gonna see if I can get that over there, hold that to the trunk. And, well, seem to be knocking off these things. So, I don't know, maybe that's a little too aggressive too soon. Yeah, well, these things I think were being used to help feed the tree, give it some nutrients, and they usually fall off when they're not this. So I'm going to try the thinner stuff, and I'm going to be a little more careful, as I was not being careful. And we're going to try to see if we can just wrap around here, get this anchored a little bit. There we go. And so what we do is try to see if we can twist this in a way that it will tighten the wire. And see, if I twisted it since I wrapped the wire counterclockwise, I also want to bend the tree counterclockwise so the wire tightens as I'm twisting the tree trunk. If I go clockwise wiring and counterclockwise bending, I'll actually loosen the wire. So we're going to go kind of in. I went and knocked the other one off. Oh well. How will I remember this is an avocado now? All right, so that seems to have allowed a little curvature, pretty good curvature in there. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully knocking these things off will not affect this detrimentally. This was the widest part of the trunk, right there, the trunk base, and it actually did taper down after that. And again, you got some nice thick roots. There were even, I think, some escape roots out of the bottom of that pot that broke. So take a look at what we got here in terms of the roots. I think most of these are circling roots. I don't think tons coming off. Probably created a tap root. And then that's what escaped. This little mat of that's what to do. So I might again cut this off part right here, see if I can get roots to grow from this section here. I'll bury it fairly deep and just see if I can get more roots to grow from that point. Again, these are, I think, really just mostly just a tangle of the roots. Looks like it does grow roots fairly aggressively. I don't need all those roots down at the bottom. I want to have roots up near the soil surface. So we're going to cut all that back. And not many roots over here. Most of the roots are on this side right here. Again, I'm not going to get too worried about, I mean, the other one's going to cross over, so we're going to put it like that. So, I don't know if these take well to, like, cuttings, strike well as cuttings or not, but, or will it grow from a root cutting? I don't know. But, you know, what I could do is a little experiment while we're doing this. Kind of cut off some of these big leaves, and maybe even cut these back a little bit here. These are called, that's called leaf cutting. Rather than defoliating, you just decrease the mass of the root. And again, if you don't like that kind of like artificial cutoff thing like that, you can just kind of go like this and go like. Now this looks like a miniature leaf there. And again, we can, all right. Gotta have symmetry. There we go. So I have no idea whether any of this is going to work. We still got an active growing tip. We're gonna just shove that in some soil with a little rooting hormone on there. It may not need it. We're gonna put this in another pot. We might even put them both in the same pot and just kind of see what happens. Maybe get a little bit larger of a pot when it doesn't tip over so easy. And then we'll just kind of find out if whether or not these things survive, whether we'll be able to see, okay, well, in that pot we have a emergency repot, root pruning, and a wiring, and just plain old stick in a pot cutting, and see if whether or not any of these survive. All right, so this is a dirty pot. It was used for something at some point before. I never really cleaned it out, but I'm not going to be too fancy on this one. It's a nice, interesting shape, kind of an elongated pot, and so be good for, I think, having the these two sharing the same pot there for a little bit. I had mentioned before some of the things that I've tried in the past for screening material. This is actually a roll of like for window screening repair. It's got slightly adhesive on the bottom and comes in nice little rolls. Cut off that, stick that in there. There we got. And so now we got a little screening in the bottom of this. So let me lower the view of this a bit. Bingo. All right. So let's throw a little soil in here. Now the question is, we use the big stuff or the little stuff? So I'm going to try to do a cutting. I think I'm going to try the little stuff, see if I can get some roots to form in there. Oh, that's the big stuff. All right. Well, you know what? I think the big stuff ain't that big. So we're going to use just my regular medium grain soil there. Just going to throw that in there. Again, kind of big chunky chunk. We won't have that in there. Get a little base of there. All right, and I'm going to try to put this in the widest part of the pot, like so there. Give that a good chance. Hold on. I'm going to try to see a little bit more of a perspective from what I'm doing here. There we go. I'll try not to put my elbows in the screen there. And I'm just going to fill that up. Again, these are very coarse roots right now. So the soil is going to fall between there pretty easily. All right, it's staying up on its own. Set the bucket down on top of this thing. All right, so this is the cutting. We're going to hedge your bets a little bit. A little rooting hormone. May not be necessary. After all, this is a tropical, and they may root pretty easily. Now, to give this thing a better chance, I'm going to lay it down a little bit so that it's not having its entire weight being held by the soil. And there we go. Does stick out a little bit here. Maybe bring it up just a wee bit. Again, I'm going to increase its chances of surviving. And I'm going to put a little rock on there. And then I'm going to take this little guy who almost has a little notch in there. Wedge that in there like that. Spread this out a bit. Again, you're a little loose in there, so we may have to put some rocks in there. Got a nice little, let's see if I can get that in there. It's a nice little rock there, has a little space for that. And in there, a couple of extra rocks in there. And little pebbles. I think we got these pebbles are basically decorative stones that you buy at the dollar store. Got them all laying all over the place. I've used them in so many different pots, and sometimes these are rocks that I find, or some of these, like this one. A very popular thing when you go up in the mountains is the gem mining thing, where you get a bucket of dirt and they've seeded it with different pieces of precious stones. And you get ones that look like this, and they, of course, they offer to make it into jewelry for you, but you can just take it home and use it however you want. Put it in a jar and display, but the really nice ones, yeah, you can get your wife some jewelry out of rocks that she found in a bucket. But that's one of those. That one, actually, this one might actually be one of those also kind of like gem mining, quote, tourist trappy things, which is always fun to do, little touristy trappy things. Okay, so that is our emergency repot on the avocado, and we're going to try a little experiment, see how well it takes to wiring, see how well it takes to repotting, and see if whether or not it will propagate from a cutting. Some of you who have out there who have already tried avocado, you might have some advice on whether or not I'm on the right track, or if I am completely lost the storyline on this. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, sometimes you want to do clip and grow. I do like clip and grow for a lot of things, but also sometimes it's like, hey, what will a little wire do? You got it. Sometimes you want to use it, but I don't like to overuse it. Not every tree needs a wire, but some might be able to benefit from it. All right, so we're gonna give this a good watering, put this back on the bench. Hopefully we'll not get knocked down again. And again, we'll get a little bit of a, there we go. Go up a little bit. This is what we're looking like now. Okay, so that's what we're looking at now, and well, hopefully this will turn into something, my little avocado boat. In the meantime, hi and bye. You guys have a good day. We'll be back to doing all those ficuses in a little bit. Again, this was kind of an impromptu. And see you later, and be cool. Happy bonsaiing.